Through my experience in this art education program, my eyes have been completely opened. I look at art differently, the world differently, and education in art differently. I want to make meaning and I want to help them through tough things in their lives. And as I went through this trip in Spain, I looked through the lens of someone who had just gone through a lot of courses. And because I learned so much from my courses in this program, art therapy, culture responsive pedagogy, visual thinking strategies, visual literacy, I wanted to share what I thought of when I looked through some art exhibits on a recent trip to Spain. This one I thought about identity in some of my art therapy courses because I resemble this as a mother. This one I thought about innovation, how we changed and pushed the boundaries and how to show people even these older paintings, how to express people. And this one I thought about emotion, the meaning they're pushing through with these paintings, how art can express more than words can, just like in my art therapy courses, and visual thinking and visual literacy. This is a 3D example of expression and incorporating history and expression with these sculptures about the Catalan people and the struggles they went through in Spain. This one made me think of juxtaposition and just how powerful light and color can be, a bright light in the middle and chaos around it. This is also good juxtaposition with this ordinary looking wire in the middle of this beautiful historic city. And then, scenes in time and how much it can say with art skills, how much you can see without words in this painting, what's going on. And then design and innovation, how integral art is with buildings and everyday objects. This is Gaudi. We saw a few things with Gaudi and how beautiful and functional these glass panels could retract up and make it into a balcony. How beautiful it is to have the melding of two worlds. And then immersive and experience. I was inspired by installation art since doing this course and how impactful it can be and how it's a different view of what art is than what I previously expected. I just have loved how much contemporary art I've learned about and kind of pushing the boundaries of what art is for me, how it's an experiment with materials and places. And then historically, these were a couple government buildings in Spain with Catalan and the Spanish government, where they both have some responsibilities, and how it was kind of a small square. And how can we use that in a lesson? Like, do you sometimes feel boxed in by the boundaries you have? This was a sculpture after the Catalan people lost a war, I believe, and it was an unfinished staircase, and basically how they could express their feelings and how they weren't done yet, even though they didn't win right then. And then this ancient Roman columns, this temple, is just tucked back into this building, these really narrow streets. And how could we use that in lessons? Like, is something so special even though it's tucked away? Is it more special? What does it mean to preserve art? To preserve it where it is, or to put it on display? And this one, it was preserved where it had originally stood, even though buildings have been built around it. So I think there's just so many different things we could learn from these different actual historic art pieces. This one made me think of weaving and storytelling. How I've had a weaving where we drew things we liked and then wove them together to show that we can be together in our differences. A big thing in contemporary art that I've learned is about social justice and repressed people, and how it's such an avenue for expression and to really show impactful and heart-wrenching stories, like these historic pictures with things painted over faces or things added to it to show what repressive things may have been happening. And I think that's something powerful we can do now, and we can keep evolving and doing more and more and more as different problems and topics get discussed and brought up. This was an example of violence against women, I believe, with Hair on the Mirror kind of hinting at some violation. And then also with art therapy, I feel like I learned so much about working through emotions, and I also really love identity, talking about identity, and these crests made me think of that, and how could I make a crest art project with expressing ourselves. Collage, I love the idea of collage, and I've learned so much from my classmates, especially one or two, how they use collage, and I think there's just so many possibilities with it. Maybe self-expression or telling a story, or layering, and how many layers. This one was interesting because it looked like a coffee stain had been left, and made me think of what have we forgotten and left on maybe our desk or somewhere flat, and we it collects stains and crumbs and things. So what could we use in the classroom? Like, what's something in our life that we've forgotten about? Could we print that off and then put it on our table, or spill something on it and show in a really visual way how things can be forgotten. Also, presentation has been a big thing I've learned, and how we should write about what we've learned, what we've painted or processed in our work in art therapy and in other core classes. And so the visual and written word are so impactful. I've just learned so many things from different courses, and learned so much about social justice, therapeutic elements, what it means to be an art educator, what it means to have art education, and how crazy impactful it can be. And I'm just super grateful that I am able to look at art differently now, and what art is. And every time I just gain so much inspiration around me for what I can put in my classroom, and how I can make a really meaningful project. And I hope to continue to do that, and I'm hoping I can still learn and grow even though I'm no longer in the course. So I just want to thank everyone so much for all of the help and learning.